Good evening and welcome to the Trend Show. My name is Hussein Robert and this is the show that puts you on a journey on matters, leadership and entrepreneurship. Now today, we are talking about leadership when the atmosphere is filled with matters, leadership, political discussions here and there. Now on the bench, I'm talking to Mr. Shabat Juma, who is a leader, the president of Riara University, that is RUSA, Riara University Student Association. Shabat Juma has also served at different capacities, being the chair of Red Cross clubs and so on, and also the only lady in the show, Hopeline Amondi, right? Yeah. Is the vice president at Kiriri Women University, the only women university in East Africa, if not Africa at large. Now, guys, we talk about leadership, and all of you, the one common thing with both of you is that you are all serving at student leadership capacity. And we are talking at a time where everyone is thinking about national politics, people are talking here and there, the campaigns are all over. We are having the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, having campaigns with the hustler narrative here and there. We are the hustlers, and of course, as it's being put. We are having Right Honorable Raila, who is also campaigning here and there, and having the history of this nation. And we are having the Oka community. The 5 men all want to be president, campaigning together, moving up and down. And they're having the economy as their main agenda and so on. Now, Mr. Shabat, as we are moving forward, I would want to give you a minute to introduce yourself and say something about you that maybe I might not have mentioned. Same as Hope, then we roll. Shabat, a minute.
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you for having me back again for this show. As you said, my name is Shabat, Juma Shabat, and I'm the president of the Student Association here in the university. It's a pleasure and an honor to serve the students of Riara University. And again, as you said, I've served in different capacities, especially in the Red Cross, where I'm simply a volunteer, but I'm able to steer some of the important events and important initiatives in Kenya Red Cross. Currently, I have a program that I run myself. It's my own initiative. Of course, having learned, having experience in Kenya Red Cross, I support 75 girls in Majengo with pads. So every semester, I try to raise a certain number of pads. This time I have a target of 1,000 pads and some cash, so that I can train those girls on issues to do with menstrual hygiene and their bodies, and issues all to do with early pregnancies and safe sex. And aside from that, tunawanyanga lunch kidogo, and we also give them pads. At least they are sustained for 3 or 4 months or so. So yeah, that is me. And again, it's a pleasure having me on this show.
It's my pleasure too. Thank you. It's such a good initiative, and actually we are going to talk about what you're doing, which is very good for the community. I saw you shared with me the same message on WhatsApp, and actually I was to mention that while we are on the same show. Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. A minute.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. My name is Hopeline Banda Amondi. I'm a student at Kiriri Women's University, pursuing my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, where I also serve as the Vice Chairperson of the KUSA. We call it KUSA, Kiriri Women's University Students Association. Well, I am not so progressed like my brother here, but currently I'm involved in charity organizations. Like recently I attended the Platform organization. They also deal with, in one way or another, the same thing that you deal with. Involves menstrual poverty. They are fighting menstrual poverty. So yeah, I am so much involved in that. And I'm also involved in youth Bible study at my church. That is what also keeps me occupied. Above all, I'm a passionate basketballer. I love playing basketball. And yes, that's my life currently.
That is great. Whenever I hear people say above all, you will always hear them above all, Jesus Christ, my personal Savior. But anyway, that aside. Now, you guys, we are talking at a time, we are talking on leadership matters. And this time round, as we speak right now, the voter registration process is ongoing, and IBC is really pushing, and they have been having their estimate. They are having an estimate of 1.5 million registration. That is a weekly target, you see. Now, unfortunately, by Sunday, that is the week that just ended last week, by Sunday, we were having around 202,518 people that had registered for votes. That is less, or roughly less than 20% of the total target that they're having at the end of a week, by the end of the week. Now, a major percentage of people that are supposed to be taking or are targeted are the youths, because this country, the base, that is the highest population are the youths.
Yeah.
Now, these youths are not showing up to take the votes, and you are the youths and you are the leaders. I would want to understand from your perspective as leaders and people who are leading the youths, you see, why is it that the youths are not showing up to take the votes? Okay.
It's okay. So in my opinion, I think first of all, we are tired of electing leaders who we think they are going to represent our pledges and what we want as the youth. But when they get to their seats, they get elected, they get the opportunity to actually explore us. They do not actually put into practice what was part of their manifesto. It actually goes all round, you know. So I think as the youth, it is time for change. We want to elect impactful leaders, but before you convince me to elect you, before you even convince me to register as a voter, I have to know that truly you are going to work for us, because without us, you're not anything. So previously we've had leaders who, they campaign, I wouldn't say empty promises, but something relative to that. But when they step into their seat, by the time their tenure is done, when you look at what they have done, the youth have not been represented well. So I think this time the youth, they have decided that enough is enough. Yeah.
Yes, I think just to add on what Hopeline has just talked about.
Yes.
But there's different aspects or different reasons why you're not seeing the youth turning up in large numbers to register. Because right now the process is about registering right now. So you find that the youth, the target is 7.5 million youths to register. But you find that the youth are not coming because of different reasons. Number one, youth representation.
Yeah.
You know, it's according to the Constitution, each political party, you must have a youth representative, a youth leader representative there.
Yeah.
But most of these political parties don't have youth representation. That's the first thing. So the youth are tired of, you know, fighting for these rights that they're supposed to be represented in political parties, but they're not even being given a chance to do so. It's very hard for the youth to even actually register their own political parties, because to register a political party is 500,000 shillings according to the registrar of political parties. So the youth are tired because they're not getting representation. I think that's the first reason for me. Secondly, as she has said, the leaders of this country use the youth when it comes to garnering for votes, but actually not fulfill their promises, because you find a politician is out there focusing, or rather telling the youths that we're here for you, we're going to give jobs to you, we're going to create avenues of employment. And once they're in the seat, they talk about the youth create your own employment. So you change the narrative once you're in the seat, but when you're garnering for votes, you tell us that we're going to give you employment. When you get the seat, they tell you create your own employment. So the youth, as she has said, the youth are really tired because of the empty promises. The youths are really suffering outside there because there is no employment. And the people who are there, again, are the same people we've been seeing on and on again. You know, we go to the ballot, we vote. You think that your leader is going to get in, but again, you know, another thing is the political process in this country that has been, you know, that has seen, or rather that has had a lot of cases of malpractice. Also, the youth do not believe in that system. The youth do not believe in the system where we're going to vote and our leader is going to get in. because talk to the youth. They will tell you things like sasa tukivote alafu na hao wenyewe wanajua. You've heard about this issue about deep state. So unajua this story you said. So the youth are really tired.
Okay. Following the same conversation we are having, I would want to remind the listeners that this show is live on air and we are having it live on Facebook and YouTube. And when you follow, kindly follow the conversation, and we'd love to get your input on the same discussion that we're having here. Now, one thing that Banda mentioned, she talked about poor governance. In a nutshell, yeah? Now, when you talk about poor governance and you're not taking the votes, you're not registering. Now, you also mentioned that these people will give you the promises, then again, they might not fulfill it. Now, educate me. You've not taken the vote, then now the window for vote registration has been closed. Then now you realize there is this one leader that is actually having good ideas that can really build us or can really change the whole environment for us, you see. How are you going to ensure there is a change if you've not taken the vote in the first place? Because it will be worth it, you have the vote, then when that time comes and you see someone that is having or kind of representing what you think or your dreams are, then you can vote for them. But now, even if I tell you 1,000,000+1 things that are going to make the government good and productive and helpful to you, you don't have a way of electing me, you don't have the vote in the first place. Where you have the ID, ya kutumia kwa M-Pesa, kutoa pesa. Now, tell me, how is that helpful now that you've not registered, you can't elect whoever you want, you can't bring the change that you want with your vote, then how is that now helpful to you if you don't have the vote?
Point blank, it's not helpful. I'll just be point blank because we were answering about the youth lacking faith in the governance system, but they shouldn't lose faith in they themselves. Remember, the youths are the largest number in this country. I think we are 60% of the voters, or 75, if you're not wrong. And the youth themselves, if they decide that, you know what, we are going to register right now, because right now the IBC is talking about a really tight budget. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Sure.
About a really tight budget. They're saying that the voter registration process is going to take 30 days only. So by the time a day like today, next month, the voting registration
process will be closed.
Yeah.
So the youth can look into registering themselves as voters with the vision of electing someone who they know will represent their issues. We need to work fast right now. We really don't need to wait till next year to start thinking who are we going to vote. Because it's only us who can elect someone who will make changes for us. Yes, of course. There has been a lot of historical injustices when it comes to leadership and all that. But we shouldn't lose hope in our country that, we as the youth can produce a leader from within ourselves who can actually go and represent our issues outside there. Another thing that, before I let my sister talk, is the youth should not be they should not be incorporated to the system of leadership that has been in this country. We should aspire to be different. Isikue that when we get there, we talk about it's our turn to eat. I don't know if you've read that book, where Kenyan politics is about, when I get to that seat, I first get back the resource that I used to campaign. Now and then after that I look at the problems of the citizens. No, we should focus as a youth to get in those positions and make change for this country.
With me, I think the core aspect here is integrity. Integrity on both the voters and also on the leaders that are being voted in, because we are the youth. Avoiding taking the registration cards or participating in the electoral process will not change this, because the fact that we are the largest capacity in this country, it lies with the youth. it shows that if we want to actually implement change, we can do that in a snap. So I think we are the change implementers, but at the same time, we're not supposed to lie to ourselves. We know these bad leaders. We have seen their instances. We know their history that has been in occurrence. So the fact that we keep on re-electing the bad leaders back into the system, we keep on lying to ourselves, you know, and sitting back and looking at everything happening. And actually some people decide to like disintegrate themselves completely. You've heard people say that politics is not my thing, oh, I don't love Kenyan politics, but it is actually Kenyan politics that dictate the way you live your life, you know. If the president actually wakes up today and says, fuel prices have been hiked, there's nothing you're going to do, and you just there sit back and say, politics is not my thing. So I think I will just urge everyone to be involved in the whole electoral process with a lot of integrity. It all starts from within. Like if the people entrust you with their votes when you get to their seat, try to work on like the manifesto that you had initially. Try to respond to the needs of the youth. Try to, not just the youth basically, but everyone, but also we as the youth. Why do we have to keep on re-electing these people back to the system when we know these are the bad ones? And then we'll start complaining that, oh, even if we take part in the electoral process, we already know the winner. No, that is not right. So I feel like we have the capacity to change if only we harness all our efforts as the youth and we speak one language. We should not speak different languages. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that contribution. We are going to take a short commercial break, courtesy of Riara University. Actually, we're having this show right inside Riara University studios, and we are very grateful to the producers and so on. And of course, the chair. He talked about the deep state. He's one of them. Let's take the break as we come back. Thank you and welcome back. Now, we were talking about the voter registration part that is now over. I wanted to ask you people, you are the youths that we are talking about. You see, when a political leader speaks about the youths, and actually, conversation about the youths has been driving all the political campaigns that we are having today. Everyone is using the youths as the train to the next destination. And as you mentioned that we give the promises to the youth that when we get there, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, give you the employment and so on. At the end of the day, when they get to those positions, they tell you to now create it for yourself. Now, well, I also believe there is nothing that comes easy, and youths also should be participating in creating a job, you see, at the end of the day, because we are so many. You mentioned roughly, we are more than 50% of this population. Now, that means the government might not provide the employment for everyone. So if you've not been given, then you can participate in creating one, which is not bad at the end of the day. Now, I want to ask you, as I mentioned, the political campaigns that are happening currently, they are all about the youths. Everyone mentions the youth. They want to do the youth a good thing. Just the other day, we were having the Oka community. That is the Oka, the group of Musalia Mudavadi, Weta, and Gideon Moi, Kalonzo, and so on. They were in Mount Kenya region meeting with the business tycoons, the people like SK Macharia and so on. They were talking to them and telling them how their leadership is going to make the difference and help the business and make things work. You know. At the same time, just before that, we had Raila meeting the same people and just telling them how his leadership is going to be a better one and so on. Now, my question would be, Of course, we have the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, that meets the young people every now and again, talking to them, telling them the hustler thing, wheelbarrow, and so on, the discussion. And like one friend said, that is the only political leader that is having an agenda that is the bottom-up economic model. Now, I want to ask you, how do you feel or look at the aspect where these leaders, the people that the bulls in the house, they are focusing on meeting the likes of SK Masharia, whereas you are the youths who are here and you are the people that they are targeting, because our votes would count more than their votes, because one man must vote, but these youths are more than 50%. How do you look at that whole aspect?
First, I want to address an issue that you've talked about, and that is the creation of employment by the youth themselves. Hussein, we are not denying that we should not create employment. Personally, you're actually doing that right now. You know, having this show, having your team behind you, you know, a very lovely team, making sure that this show is okay, you know. But when you look at this country and the conditions this country has set for you even to establish an employment opportunity and business, it's really, really tough. You know, it's really, really tough. The tax rate for businesses are really tough. You know, and just the other day, the High Court just overruled a government decision, a parliament decision to tax SMEs the capital of starting their business. If I'm not wrong, you know, let me confirm that. But when you look at the conditions that this country has set for even the youth or rather anyone to start employment, it's really tough. You know, the capital itself to begin to start employment, that capital. Where will the youth find it? Where will the common Nigerian find that capital to start that business? It's, you know, the country right now is in, you know, there's harsh conditions for people who are living, you know, people who are below the middle class, let alone those people who are living below the poverty line. You know, so we don't disagree that the youth should create their employment. You know, we don't disagree, but the conditions that the government has set for the youth to create employment is really, really, really tough. You understand what I'm saying?
I really follow.
Now, to answer your question about the Mount Kenya businessmen and if we should go for the youth or the Mount Kenya businessmen. Now, Mount Kenya politics is really, it's complicated. You know, the media is calling it the climbing Mount Kenya. It's really a climb, you know, because Mount Kenya has determined politics and leadership in this country for over, I don't know, 20, 25 years, from the time of Jomo Kenyatta and the time of Mwai Kibaki,
yeah, now.
and now the time of the son. You understand? It's really tough, and it's almost as if every leader who leads this country, especially the president, should be an okay for the Mount Kenya backyard. So it's very important to go for the youth. It's very important to go for the youth. We determine that's true. But somehow, I'm not saying this is the law, or rather this is how it's supposed to be, but somehow these Mount Kenya businessmen are the backbone of Mount Kenya. They are the backbone of Mount Kenya. You know, and it seems like whoever they decide to be the one going with the vote of Mount Kenya is the one who is going to take that seat. You know,
Okay.
so when you go to, you know, it's like saying when you go to maybe when Hope invites you to her house.
Sure.
You have to go by the rules and play by the rules of that house.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what is happening in Mount Kenya. That's why you see Raila going through the Mount Kenya before he goes to the youth. You know?
Okay.
So I'm not saying that it is right, but I'm just saying that is the system of Mount Kenya. That is how Mount Kenya politics is built. It's built upon these businessmen who are there. Remember, politics is about interest.
Sure. Sure.
You know, it's about interest. So I believe the OKA, Raila and his team, and of course even Ruto, they are playing the game of selfish interest. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, despite the whole Mount Kenya narrative and the fact that they kind of have a vouch in dictating who will like take the next seat or anything, I think I personally just envy a state whereby a particular representation of people in the country will not be able to determine who is the leader, but the leadership system will be full of diversity, you know. Like,
Yeah.
we are not really looking at certain attributes that are related to the leader who is incoming, but we are looking at a capable leader, a leader who is capable of transforming and meeting the needs of people who elected the person. So I really think maybe they should aim at pushing through and working with people who will actually transform our country, and they will respond so that we will not keep on having the same narrative each and every other year when elections approach, that, oh, we have leaders who are not going to respond to our needs. So if for once we can have, let me say, a neutral leader, a leader who is not elected because of their, let's say, their position in the state, their background or anything, they are elected because they qualify for it and because they're going to work for the people. Yeah.
Okay, I think that will bring me to the next question that I'd want to ask both of you, being that you are leaders, and at one point or another, maybe in a smaller community like the school community, you might have experienced the same thing. I think prior to this discussion, she was mentioning about how she got elected and so on. The people that you know, okay, this group, they might not elect me because they are supporters of my opponents and so on, right? But now, let me ask you, as a youth, as a leader, what are the qualities of a leader that you want? So that we'd say that these are the qualities of the person that would be our representative or our leader or our president or our MCA, the qualities of a leader that you want.
Leadership is, a leader is someone who gives a vision. Understand?
Yeah.
It's somebody who sets the pace, and it's somebody who empowers the community. You know.
Sure.
More used to say siasa mbaya.
Yes.
Because the leader determines the productivity or the productivity of the community. So a leader should be visionary.
Sure.
We need to have visionary leaders, and we need to have political parties that have ideology. We don't want political parties where people just come together for selfish interest, to saidiane kufika to those seats, and after that, things are crumbling down. See what is happening in Jubilee.
Yeah.
You know, their politics is not based on ideology. And we need politics that is based on pure ideology. You know, because if we have the same ideas, if we have the same vision, if we have the same agenda, we can, no matter what the bumps on the road, as long as we know where both of us are going, or rather all of us are going, then we'll be able to stick together.
Exactly.
So these issues about selfish interest, that's a no-no. We don't want politicians who have selfish interest. We don't want politicians who want to exploit, or rather misuse the citizens' resources. Because these are our resources. We pay the taxes. You know, basically, democracy is a government for the people. Understand? It's a government of the people. We are the people who even pay these people salaries. You understand?
Yeah.
So we need leaders who are visionary. We need leaders who are full of integrity. Leaders who know what they are doing. Leaders who are there to serve the people, because it's about people. For example, here in General University, just to echo what we have done as a student council.
Okay.
We are trying to improve on student life in terms of the first bit is events. You know,
Sure.
September we managed to do a good movie night. People had fun at IMAX. Now we are focusing on more long-term establishments. We have seen our basketball court, Palenje Tushaeka, at least a small basketball court where after lunch people can just go and blow off steam there. We have already registered over 200 students who are interested in sports. We have already secured a football pitch, Maniapo Kangmi swimming pool, where we can take students. Right now we have 50 people who have saying they're interested in football, and we have, I think 65, if I'm not wrong, who are interested in swimming. We've already booked the place, we are waiting to launch. Because we serve the community of Riara University. We need leaders who are full of service. You know, the table tennis at the student center is doing okay. We are introducing badminton. Anything that students are interested in to make them feel lively inside the campus. It's about service, Hussein. It's about the service you give to the students. That's what we are focusing on. And that is what leaders of this country should focus on. Imagine it's only 10 years. After 10 years, you go home. What was such a legacy? Look at our former administration, the Kibaki administration.
It's quite a good one.
That guy is a legend. That guy is a legend. He didn't know how to play politics. He was not a very vocal president, but he did the work on the ground. That is what President Uhuru's government is trying to do right now at the end of his tenure. Trying to establish infrastructure at least, to leave a legacy. And that is what, it's not about leaving a legacy as such, but to give the citizens service. So, above all,
Service.
Above all.
Service. Would you have anything to add on?
I think mine will be based on vocality. As a leader, you're supposed to represent the people who elected you. So you cannot just sit down and watch the praise of your people wade into the waters, you know. If your people are suffering, they trust upon you to represent them in, let's say, the seniors. So as a leader, you're supposed to be vocal. I think communication skills are key in any setup. So you cannot just like watch things go haywire when you're just there. So that is the first thing. The next thing I would like to echo, it's about learning, relearning, and unlearning. As a leader, I'll start with learn. You're supposed to learn new ways of leading your people, new things that will work for your people and for your tenure. So try to incorporate new ideas, new skills into your capacity. Unlearn. Unlearn, it is about shedding off the things that have previously happened. Like, my colleague was mentioning about having leaders into the system, and like once they're there, they declare that this is a national cake. So I will first of all satisfy my personal interest before I satisfy the needs of my people. So these are the things we should unlearn from our system. The things that no longer work for your people. You should leave them. You should not flow with them because it has always been there, you know. If it's not working, it is time to cut them off from the system. And relearning, there are things that actually work for you, so you have to keep on like doing it every other time so that it can stick to the system. And above all, I think a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. You cannot be preaching water and taking wine. If you want your people to go towards a certain direction, you should be on the front of them actually. You should lead the way, you know. And you cannot be telling them to, you know, do a certain things whereby you're engaged in other different things, totally different from what you're trying to engage them in. So I really feel that as a leader, you should know the way, know where you want to go, because if I don't know exactly what visions I have for my people, I will not be able to lead them into that. So first of all, understand what you want. And I'm even encouraging whoever wants to like take up these leadership positions, you should first of all understand what you want. Because if you don't understand where you're going, anything will we'll just sway you. We say like, bendera ufuata upepo. If people are going this other side, you just follow. If they come back to the west, you follow. But if you know exactly what you want, a very ambitious leader, you will always succeed. So know the way. After knowing the way, you will show the way, and it will not be so much of a hectic work.
Talking about service and the leadership of the country, the Parliamentary Constitution Implementation and Oversight Committee has introduced, they are coming up with the Constitutional Amendment Act of 2021 in the National Assembly to enact a bill that this bill will be the first, it wants to bring on board having 2 deputy presidents and also having 2 deputy prime ministers. Now, what is also coming with this is that the president is going to have, if this bill passes, it goes through the parliament and it passes through the parliament. Now it will also add a part of it that will give the president a mandate or a power to sack the deputy president. The president, the only thing that the president will want is at least a third of the National Assembly members and votes, and also a third of Senate. We talk about service, and you also talked about the economy of the country, and we are all of us here talking about leadership and how the type of leaders that we need and so on. I would also want to bring on board and remind you that while we talk about these things, you mentioned on your discussion, your comment, that we know these leaders, the leaders that are contesting, or maybe they're not there, but maybe they are on the national government, they are looking for being the president or MC, but we know them. A number of them, they are people that have been there for a decade or sometimes we know them. We have their track record, we know how to work with them. Now, when we want to vote the new incoming leaders, we call them the youths or any other set of people that we would want to choose. Do we also put into consideration the track record of the people that have been there and what they've been standing for over some times, and so that we may use that while making the judgment while voting, so that we should not be swayed around by what you're telling me today and vote for you? I don't know, you understand what I mean. Yeah. Do we look at that? And also when we talk about that constitutional amendment that is being proposed by the Parliamentary Implementation Oversight Committee?
Well, looking at the track record is important.
Okay.
For example, looking at what this politician is presenting to you on the table and what he has done before. Well, these things are evident. A lot of politicians have been linked with corruption. We know their track record, but we still vote them in. A lot of politicians have been in those seats, done nothing at all, but we still vote them in. So I don't think it would really be wise to elect someone, vote someone in government, and you very well know that the track record of this fellow is flawed. You know, because once beaten twice shy. Understand? Once beaten twice shy. Hakuna vile you will see a leader who has done nothing before comes to promise you something out of this world and still expect that when he gets to that seat, he will work miracles and wonders. You know, some of these leaders have come from being MPs to governors with the same old promises. You wonder, what is wrong with the system of Kenya. You know, sometimes we are to blame. Citizens are to blame. I don't know what's wrong with the citizens of Kenya. You know, we very well know what kind of leaders they are, or these individuals are, but we still vote them.
Yes.
Do you have any?
Yes, I think as Kenyans we know the truth, but we are afraid of the truth actually. We are very well versed with these leaders. We know who they are in-depthly. know who they are. But we just decide to, I don't know if it is giving them the benefit of doubt that maybe this time round they will actually do it. But we know the history that is connected with these leaders, but we still decide to re-elect them back to the various seats. So the problem still lies with us because we are the ones who actually, we have the power to elect them in. So we give them the power to exploit us, and we are not supposed to complain because we know we lie with the truth, we know it, we know what happens with these leaders. We clearly understand the background, but we still decide to vote them in. So we're just afraid of going through the path of the truth.
Okay, thank you so much. We are taking a short commercial break, again, courtesy of Digital Buddy. Digital Buddy is this is an organization that is formed majorly by the youths, and what they do very incredible job in terms of production, live stream, and so on. If you want to do live stream events, these are the people to go to. They deliver one of the best jobs, and because I know they are looking for as they look for the advert, I would just want to mention that they're doing good. Also, there is an organization that has been formed by one of the youths, a student from Riara University, called Fortech Global Solution. They do branding and so many other things, website development and so on. So if also you need such jobs that you want to be done, it is a good job, and these people will give you services. This show also promotes the businesses that have been started by the youths, so that it promotes, and at the end of the day, all of us gains, and so on. Now, talk about that. We've been talking about leadership and so on, and this is the trend show that puts you on a journey on understanding matters, leadership and entrepreneurship. Now, we are the youths, and we are heading to the election. That is just next year, which is very close, and now the competition, the rallies and everything is gaining the fame in town and so on. People are all over campaigning and so on. This country, whenever we approach election, the youths are normally fond of misbehaving or causing violence at times. Now, I would want to know from your point of view, being that you are a leader, a youth, and apart from being a leader in campus, you are also a leader at home, and you associate with this youth, we associate with them on a daily basis. Why do you think there is normally violence from the sides of youths? And also, what can we do to stop or to make it better?
I'm of a very different opinion. The youths don't, yes, they cause violence. Yes, they misbehave, but I don't believe that they do so because they want to do so.
Okay, tell me.
Because, as I was saying earlier, the youths are living in a very harsh, they're living in very harsh conditions. You understand me? The youths are living in very harsh conditions. No employment, no source of income, no nothing. Most of them are really grown. Your parents are telling you, you know what, leave the house, go start hustling. You wonder, where am I going to hustle? Where am I going to get the jobs? Where am I going to get these opportunities? The other day I was speaking to a certain gentleman, and he was telling me how the market has flooded. There are really no opportunities. These are senior businessmen in this country saying the market is really flooded. You know, I've told you about the youth creating employment. It's really it's tough for them to create employment. So when these politicians come to them and tell them, you know what, I'm going to give you guys 1,000 per day, go cause chaos in a certain politician's rally. You think the youth will not go and do so? They will, because that now becomes a source of employment for them. At least during that particular point of time, they will get 1,000 bob. They will budget it for the next 3 or 4 days. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Yes, we misbehave as the youth, but the conditions. You know, we should look at where it all started. What are the conditions that has led us to where we are, to what we do? Because If the youth were employed, if the youth were given conditions to grow in this country. Yesterday, SK Mashare was speaking, and he told us that we need environment. And I was struggling and I was asking myself, what is this guy saying? Actually, we need environment. We just need environment. And I came to understand when he said we need environment, it's conducive environment where the youths can grow, where you and I, Hussein, can be able to explore our ideas, get investors, be in conditions where our ideas can grow. You understand? But if the youth are pressed into a corner, they will do anything to survive. Trust me. Hussein. They will do anything to survive. They will go out there, they will listen to these politicians, they will make sure they go and cause chaos as much as possible, as long as during that night, they will have something on the table to eat. Trust me, Hussein. Yes, we misbehave, but what are the conditions leading us to that particular behavior? Where are we? That's a question. To deal with an issue, we should go to the root cause. And the root cause of these issues is the harsh environment that we are subjected to by the leadership of this country.
Banda, do you have any before we take a commercial break?
Yeah, mine is just to echo on what Juma has said. I think we exist in a generation where we are all in dire need of finances, Bills keep on coming up each and every other day, regardless of the fact that you are unemployed or employed, You always have something that you want to settle. And if I get an opportunity, it is not everyone who is actually selective that will say, this one is not legal or this one is not really succumbing to the sphere of humanity, so I will not do it. Because people have been pushed to the wall. They don't have another alternative but to take up these tasks. So at the end of it all, what happens is that we have commotions, we have various killings that originate from the youth, but it is not, trust me, it is not something that comes from them. It is, I think it is a push because of the various needs that they want. And until that time when the government will learn to listen to the youth and to cater for their needs, to make sure that even if it's not everyone, at least a good percentage is well represented and their needs are taken good care of, employment opportunities are available to them, then they will have solved this whole saga. But until then, anything that will involve whatever you have mentioned, they will always be ready to take up these tasks because bills have to be met.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hope, I'm very grateful for your contribution. Let's take a short commercial break, then we come back as we near the end of this show. Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah, mute.
Tawasha urudi la.
How is the show?
It's fine.
Actually, what do you mean?
Top leadership. Top businessmen and top leaders in this country, political leaders, business leaders, corporate leaders. I say those people wake up.